For as long as I have been interested in handbags, and I'm sure this is true for many of you as well, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Hermes have been at the top of the handbag hierarchy. But as luxury executives have chosen to continue raising prices in this difficult economy, while also choosing to decrease the quality of their products, many customers have shifted away from these luxury brands and more toward contemporary brands like Coach. So I ask, has Coach overtaken Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes, and others in the handbag hierarchy? Today I'm going to show you how they absolutely have. Stay tuned. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. One of the perks of subscribing to my channel is you get to see my community post on your YouTube homepage, where I post deals, discount codes, sales, and rare finds related to these beautiful things we love. So I've been thinking about this handbag hierarchy, and for the last several years, also hearing all these complaints from people on YouTube and from you guys in the comments about these luxury brands and the decisions that they're making that affect a lot of us negatively. And many people at all different kinds of income levels have said they're not going to buy Louis Vuitton anymore, or Chanel, or fill in the blank with your luxury brand, and that they've shifted to contemporary brands. So that made me think, well, what does this handbag hierarchy consist of? How do you get to your place in that hierarchy? What factors determine that? And can it change over time? And I would argue that where the brands are placed in the hierarchy tends to be pretty subjective, and a lot of it has to do with just our perceptions of a brand and not necessarily with any objective realities. If you go to Google and you search for luxury hierarchy or handbag hierarchy, you will find a plethora of different images that rank different brands in different ways. And you may be really surprised by where some of your favorite brands fall. So I thought, well, how about I come up with my own hierarchy where I've determined what the factors would be, and then I try to rank the brands objectively on these different factors. Now, before I tell you what these factors were that I ranked the brands on and what the results were, which were pretty surprising, let me say this. The perceptions that we have of the brands are very strong, especially for those of us who love handbags so much and who have aspired to own some of these brands and have had to save up to get them. Some of these perceptions are really deep-rooted in us, and anytime I bring up something like Coach makes bags that are just as good a quality as Louis Vuitton, for example, some people get very defensive about that because Louis Vuitton is this more aspirational thing for them. And again, it's just not necessarily based in fact all the time. Try not to be offended if you're one of those people that holds some of these brands in really high regard. Try to look at it with an open mind, hear what I'm saying. And the other thing I would say is the factors that I've chosen today are things that are important to me regarding handbags, and some things that I feel like are important to you guys based on what you've been telling me over the last few years and how your relationship with some of these brands has shifted. That as objective as I'm trying to be, there is still a lot of subjectivity to it, a lot of opinion. So if you were to come up with the factors that were important to you, they're going to be different from the ones that I came up with. And that said, if you have a YouTube channel, I would encourage you to do this video too. It's a little bit of work, so I'm not going to make it a tag video and tag people because I don't want anybody feeling obligated that they have to do this extra work, but I would invite anybody who's interested to do it and see what you come up with. So here's how I ranked the brand. I came up with 6 different factors that I felt were important to me and to you guys. So the first factor, which is always the most important to me, is quality. Some of the brands that we're talking about definitely range in the quality of bags that they produce, but some of the brands that we tend to hold in high esteem have also been having a lot of quality issues. So I wanted to try to account for all of that. So I rated quality on a scale of 4. And for all these, the highest numbers are going to have the most weight in the final ranking. I gave a brand 1 point if I felt like the quality tends to be below contemporary level quality. 2 points if it is on average contemporary quality. 3 points if it's on average luxury quality, but it has inconsistencies. So we've been hearing over the years that there have been quality issues and declines. And then 4 is consistently excellent quality. So brands that we feel like we can count on to have wonderful quality, and sure, there may be an issue here or there, but generally they are consistent and fabulous, like top of the line quality. Factor number 2 is availability. This is how easy is it to get your hands on handbags, and we are specifically talking about handbags and not other items that these brands sell. How easy is it to get your hands on a bag that you want from this brand? So I know there are a lot of people that will disagree with this one, because a lot of people, one of their definitions, if not the definition of luxury for them, is exclusivity, is that I want to have the only one. I don't want to see anybody else with this bag, or there's so few in the world that I'm never going to see anybody with another one again. I don't feel that way. I have a much more democratic view of material things, and for me, I don't care if everybody has the same bag that I have. If they do, there's a reason. It's because we all like it. If I want a bag, I want to be able to get that bag. And if somebody else wants that bag, I want them to be able to get it. And going hand in hand with this, a lot of the exclusivity is actually just artificial scarcity. These brands could make more of these products, they just choose not to. And I understand why. I understand why they do that. But my point is that it's not necessary, and that it results in many people in their customer base feeling bad in some way, feeling disappointed or feeling unworthy that they haven't spent at a certain level, for example, to be offered a bag that they've been waiting for and are willing to fork out a whole lot of money for. Or customers that feel excluded, which is exclusivity leaves people excluded. So I ranked availability on a scale of 1 to 3. 1 is that it's very difficult to get your hands on their products. 2, it's mostly easy to get your hands on their products, but they do have some artificial scarcity going on. Maybe not with everything, but they do use that strategy. Or 3, it's easy to access anything you want. There may be a rare example here and there where something sells out and doesn't restock, but overall, it's not a problem getting what you want from this brand. Number 3 is approachability. So this has to do with perceptions. It also ties into availability a little bit. Basically, this is how comfortable do customers feel going into a store for this brand, and how comfortable do they feel talking to a sales associate. They got 1 point if many people feel uncomfortable, and this is years and personal experience, but also years of hearing what you guys have said, that you've never been in the store before, you don't feel comfortable going in there because you feel like you don't belong, or you feel like you have no business in there, or you feel like you're going to be judged or treated badly. For me, a business is going to score extra points if they don't do that. So you'll get 2 points if customers have no problem going into your store or talking to your associates. Number 3 is retail prices. Basically, are the bags worth what they're charging for them right now? You get 1 point if your bags are exceptionally expensive. 2 points if they're above average in the luxury price realm. 3 points if they're average luxury prices. 4 points if they're average contemporary prices. And 5 points if they are below average contemporary prices. Now, because this is my channel and we talk a whole lot about pre-loved handbags and finding bargains, I also included number 4, which is pre-loved prices. So this has to do with how well bags from this brand tend to hold their value on the pre-loved market. Now, depending on your perspective, the point system could go different ways. If you're somebody who buys retail, so you want your bags to hold value or gain value, then you would put more points for a bag that gains value. I did it the opposite way because my financial value system in regards to bags holding their value is a little different. because I primarily do not buy retail, I buy Preloved and I'm looking for bargains. I like to look for brands where the bags don't hold their value so I can get a great bargain. So my point system here is 1 point for bags that tend to gain value, 2 points for those that hold value, and 3 points for those that go down in value. And the last factor that I ranked the brands on, this might surprise some of you, is original design. Now, you guys know I have no problem with dupes. I think that it's really a great idea to be able to get a bag that looks very similar to a very expensive bag, but you get it much cheaper so you can try out that style before you decide to invest thousands of dollars in the more expensive version. However, in this case, I'm giving 1 point if a brand is known to copy other designs often, 2 points if they do their own original designs, and 3 points because they're going to get a bonus point if other people copy their designs or if they do artist collaborations. Now that one is just kind of personal to me because I love a good artist collaboration, but there you go. So that is my whole point system. So here's what I did with this. I made a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. Yeah, I'm one of those people. So along the top, I put all 6 factors that I'm ranking these brands by, and along the side column, I put all the brands. And then I went through and I ranked them with the 1, 2, 3 or whatever points each factor was assigned. If a brand got all the points possible in every category, the highest total they could get was 20 points. So I ranked everything and then I added it all up, and this is my final ranking. But I know you can't see this, so let's go through it. Now, I'm not going to go through every detail. I'm just going to point a few things out, and especially some really surprising things. And let me remind you again, if you were ranking these, your final tallies would be different, your factors would be different, your point system may be different, but this is what I came up with. So each of the green stripes that are the same color are all the brands that tied in points. And there were 6 different point totals. There was one brand that got 11 points, one that got 12, several that got 14, and then 15 and 16 and 17 was the highest point value that any one brand received. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention this earlier. The brands that I chose are all brands that I have in my collection, with the exception of the one brand that scored the lowest points, only 11 points, and that is Hermes. Now let me tell you why Hermes scored so low. They scored the highest on quality and on design, but in everything else they scored the lowest. So that is why they're at the very bottom. Wonderful quality, unique design. Other brands copy them all the time, but their system is awful and their prices are outrageous. Partly because of the system, the Hermes game. You know what I'm talking about. Just above them with 12 points is Chanel. Chanel got a 3 out of 4 in quality because they've had some quality issues. They got a 2 out of 3 for availability because there are a lot of things you can just walk into a store to get. Although maybe I should have given them a 1 because you can't order from the website. Didn't think about that. Chanel is generally not very approachable for most people. Their retail prices, as many of you know, are through the roof, and a lot of people have said they're not buying Chanel anymore because the prices are too high. It's not worth it. Preloved prices are really all over the place, but the most desirable bags do tend to go up pretty high, like a lot more than retail. And I did give them a 3 for design because I think they have some really unique designs. They're copied a lot. Now above Hermes and Chanel with 14 points are Atelier Auguste. And I'm not going to go through every ranking for every brand because that would take too long. I'm just going to cherry pick some. But I will point out that for Atelier Auguste, they got an extra point because they use gold plating on their hardware, at least on some of them. Parissa Wang does the same thing and got the same extra point for that. Also Brandon Blackwood and Portland Leather Goods. Now, this was one of the things that I found really interesting when I went back and looked at all the rankings here that are supposed to be so objective. I would never put Portland Leather Goods above Chanel and Hermes, or even on the same level as the other brands I just mentioned. They would be at the bottom, okay? They would be in the bottom of the tier if I was just putting brands on a hierarchy out of thin air. But with the objective numbers, that's how it worked out. On the next level up, we have Rebecca Minkoff, Teddy Blake, Hammett, which a lot of you won't have heard of. They're a handbag brand out of California. Beautiful leathers, unique designs. I'll link them. I'll link all these brands below for you and places you can find their bags. And guess what's also in this level? Louis Vuitton. I gave them a 3 out of 4 for quality because they've had some quality issues, a 2 out of 3 for availability because they do create some artificial scarcity, 1 out of 2 for approachability because a lot of people are afraid to go in their stores and talk to their associates because they feel like they don't belong and they'll be judged, a 3 out of 5 for their retail prices, so I think their luxury prices are average, a 3 out of 3 for their pre-loved prices because a lot of their bags go down and you can find some excellent deals, and a 3 out of 3 for design, especially since they do a lot of artist collaborations. Not to mention the arty capucines. Those are the best. Second from the top, some of these surprised me. Alexis Batar, that's a jewelry brand. I've already shown you a handbag that I got from them that I returned, but I do have another handbag from them that I haven't shown you yet. And they did get an extra point because they also use real gold on their hardware. Aspinall of London, Brahmin, Coach, which is above all 3 of that Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes trilogy. Coach has overtaken them. Kate Spade, which is one that surprised me because I feel like their quality is contemporary level. Like I haven't seen any bags from Kate Spade that I would put at the luxury level. And a lot of the design of their bags also isn't that spectacular. But what they do that I love is they're creative. They make interesting bags, things that are different that you don't see anywhere else. Not necessarily in terms of the shape of the bags, but the things that they put on the bags. Y'all know Kate Spade, you know what I'm talking about. And also Longchamp and Tory Burch. And I do feel for the most part that grouping, that seems about right that those would go together, but it's still kind of shocking that they would be above some of the other brands we've already mentioned. Now at the very top tier, the brands that scored 17 out of 20 points, which was the highest that any of these brands scored the way I ranked them. We have in alphabetical order Fendi, of course they're up there, Gucci, YSL, and then 2 contemporary brands, Henry's Leather Goods. I will link them below, and if you haven't seen any of my videos on these bags, where have you been? You must be new here. I have quite a few of these, and I have always compared them to Hermes in terms of quality and design, but the price point is so much lower. These are amazing bags, and I'm really not at all surprised that they scored in the very top tier. And then another, I would call them a contemporary brand that you may not have heard of that scored in that same top tier is Negeti. I showed one of these bags, maybe 2 of them, during Vlogmas, and I don't think I've revealed this one to you yet, but here it is. I have a few of them now, and this is one of my favorites. I love this design. The Negeti bags are made with neoprene, which you don't think of as a luxury material, and when I was ranking this on quality, I was struggling a little bit, and especially when I saw it came up in the very top tier, because I don't know of any of the luxury brands doing neoprene, and I don't think of neoprene as a luxury material. However, I was reminding myself that the luxury brands do use other materials that we don't necessarily think of as luxury materials, like wicker, and they still charge outrageous amounts of money for them. So when I was ranking this, I was thinking, what if one of the luxury brands did do a bag in woven neoprene? How would I rank it then? And I feel like this is just excellent quality. That's why I have several now. I love these. They're easy to wear. I'm not going to do a whole video here on Negeti, but I scored them very high. Now I do want to talk about Fendi for a second in that top tier because I'm not at all surprised they're there. I gave them a 4 out of 4 for quality, a 3 out of 3 for availability. Not that they don't have bags that are harder to get, but generally it's pretty easy to get what you want at Fendi. Approachability, a 2, because I've always had and always heard of people having wonderful experiences with Fendi sales associates. They're lovely. A 2 out of 5 for retail price because I do think they're overpriced, but a 3 out of 3 for pre-loved price because most Fendi bags don't hold their value very well. So you can get great deals on the pre-loved market. And of course a 3 out of 3 for design because Fendi does so many unique and creative, wonderful designs and materials. So that's my attempt at doing an objective hierarchy of these handbag brands. I'm very curious to hear what you think about what my results were and what my categories were in ranking the different brands, and what you would do differently. And again, if you have a YouTube channel, I invite you to do something like this yourself and see what you come up with. I'm super curious to see what you guys would come up with. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope to see you back here next time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.